The Hurricanes respond in game 2. We'll find out tonight right here. We'll discuss it on PuckTime on WagerTalk TV. Carmine, good morning to you, my friend. Your thoughts on game 2 and your thoughts really on what the key is for Carolina to respond, because we're going to take a look at the numbers here in a few minutes. But when you look at the data, you look at the advanced analytics, the worst part is it says that the Hurricanes actually had a pretty decent game. And one coach that won said that they weren't too happy with their team's performance. One coach that lost said they felt pretty good about their team's performance. How do you feel about that?
Or always likes his team's performances. It's a weird thing with him, Andrew, and that team. But you're right. You look at it, 33-20, I think, were the shots on goal. The XG favored Carolina in that game, 378, I think it was, or 327 to 178. It was like 4.95 combined XG, 7 goals in that game. I had the under in that game, and the numbers at least made me feel a little bit better, but you don't cash tickets based on XG, unfortunately. But it's Florida is they've been a beast thus far, Andrew. They just seem to be getting better and better. The one thing, what does Carolina have to do? They have to do what they've done pretty much all season long: win games at home. They're a tough team at home. I don't think that was the best performance by Freddie Anderson. I think a couple soft ones got in on him, and that game got away from them in the end. But this is a team that, going back to I think it was November 30th of 2024, this season, off a home loss in their next home game, they are 8-0 next time out. Take that with a grain of salt, though, because on November the 30th, I believe that was, the team that they lost back-to-back games at home were 6-0 to this Florida Panthers team. I think that's when they played 2 back-to-back games, one in Carolina, and then they went down to Florida, and Florida beat them again there. But I got to lean the under in this game again. I think the game one numbers support it. I think that game just got away. It was a bad first period for the Canes. They had to get off to a better start, but they were down 2-0 before they knew it in that game. And even though they got one late in that period, it was Florida's game to lose after that 2-0 lead. Andrew, one thing about this series, and one thing about Carolina, and I saw this stat the other day, they have lost 13 straight Eastern Conference final games dating back to 2009. They were swept 4-0 2009, 2019 swept again, and then after that, I think it was 22, they were swept yet again, and then they lose game 1 5-2. 13 straight losses in the Eastern Conference finals. Do you have any confidence in this team to win tonight?
I have confidence in that team to win round 1 constantly. That's what I have confidence in. Maybe for them to win round 2. Conference finals, I'm not so sure. But Carm, I love what you said there. And again, the XG to me is just so interesting. I mean, we always talk about the deserved win meter on Money Puck. I know Brian mentions that sometimes. It was like 68% for Carolina. That can be very disheartening in a hockey game, to feel like you were the better team. You created more chances. And to your point, Carm, Freddie Anderson did have an off night. But Florida will kill you because they have so many guys that can score. I think back to the Game 7 against the Leafs, when Seth Jones scored, when Luosterainen scored, when Lindell had himself a good game. Like, even when their best players aren't being their best players, they're still winning games. And, of course, they have the depth. They have the star players. They have the defensemen. But, Carm, like you said, this Hurricanes team, and great stat by you, this Hurricanes team is so strong at home. This is the spot they're supposed to bounce back. But you know what this really reminds me of? It reminds me of the first round, Florida versus Tampa Bay. And if you remember, game 1, Florida-Tampa Bay was a dominant victory for the Panthers. They won it 6-2, guys, all right? The next time out, and I still have pain with this because I had a 5% play on Tampa in game 2, Carm. The next time out, I debated a big bet on Tampa or a big bet on the under. I equally liked both of those. And when I take a look at this one, I like the under. As you said, Carm, at this point, I think Carolina needs to suffocate the Panthers. They need to drag them into a low-scoring game. If they're going to win, it's going to have to be a 3-1, going to have to be a 3-2. If you want to, you can take that Florida team total under 2.5, just in case the Hurricanes find their offense themselves. You can get minus 110 on that, just in case you do see a 4-2 Carolina. But we all know game ones have gone over the total throughout these playoffs a lot. I've liked that angle. And game twos, we've seen a response defensively, especially from the team that's lost. So instantly, this just gave me a reminder when I was handicapping this game of the exact same kind of series format we saw in game one, Tampa versus Florida, and then game two. Because after a 6-2 win in game one in that series, Carm, you hear people say, wow, this is going to be high scoring the whole way through. A lot of people don't think that one individual event can be different from the previous, but it certainly can be different. And obviously, Florida had their way with Carolina. Things will be different tonight, but it sounds like you and I are both on the same page. If if Carolina comes out on top or at least has themselves a good game, a lot of that's due to their defense.
Yeah, it's got to be better tonight, Andrew. And I get it. They only allowed 20 shots, but I think that maybe that's the more troubling thing is they allowed only 20 shots on goal, and Florida scored on 5 of them. I get like the empty netters and what have you, but it is just, in the defensive zone. And we talked about Freddie Anderson. We can't always put the onus on the goalies and say the goalies played bad. It is the team in front of them. And, defensively, I think they were a little stretched defensively. They weren't picking up guys in their own zone. And they got some of those shorthanded, short-sided goals on Freddie. Got behind that defense. So they've got to be better tonight. It's got to be a better defensive performance from them, because the Canes aren't a team that is going to win games like the Oilers or the Dallas Stars will do, where if they need a bunch of goals, they're going to score a bunch of goals. They have to think about defense first. And you would think that it sort of correlates. If you like the Canes, you like the under. And that was one of the things I looked at in game one. I thought the Canes would win, but I like the under better in that one. And it blew up on me, even though it still had a chance with about 5 minutes left, which normally doesn't happen when you allow 3 goals in the first period and you have a total of 5.5. But lo and behold, there was still a shot at it. Andrew, I want to talk about a player prop that I like. And let's hope I don't butcher this guy's name, but Svechnikov. He, prior to this last game, where he only had 1 shot on goal, he was 7-3 on his shot props, going over 2.5. The 2.5 is about minus 125, I think, right now at DK. 4-1 at home for him. Here's the thing: that line of Seth Jarvis, Sebastian Aho, and Svechnikov accounted for 11 shots on goal. 1/3 of that team's total. They had 33 shots on goal. 11 came from that line. I think Aho had 6, and Seth had 4. I got to think in a game in which they need to bounce back, he's got to have a better game. Maybe he gets some of his, and he didn't have a bad game. He was +1 on the night in a game in which they lost by 3 goals. So you can't put it on that top line. They got the shots on goal. Bobrovsky was the difference, I think, in this one. Is that a prop you would think about taking?
I like it, man. I think the big players have to be the big guys, Carm. I'm the one that always talks about depth, but big guys have to step up. I think Svetch has to step up. I like where your eyes are on that one. He's going to be someone that has to be huge. They can't rely on Seth Jarvis to be the game breaker every single night. I think even a young guy, Carm, that I've got my eye on here is Jackson Blake from Carolina. I mean, a guy that pretty much came straight from college, got on the team, started making plays immediately, worked his way up the lineup. And, I've been loving these 1.5 shots on goal numbers. His 1.5 number is minus 140, but he's 6-2 to this in his last 8 games throughout these playoffs. He's hit this in 4 straight home games throughout the playoffs. Last game, in game 1, he had 5 shot attempts. The shot attempts are what I like the most. His shot attempts are 5-0, 5-4, and 8 in his last handful of games. You're talking about a number being set at 1.5 to the over, and he had 8 shot attempts a handful of games ago. He's clearly getting the opportunities, but the big thing is he's not really a big name guy yet. So I feel like right now, Seth Jarvis, it's hard to find value on a guy like that just because he's the guy for Carolina. Same thing with Aho. So I would take a Svechnikov. I would take a Jackson Blake. I would even look at a guy like Sean Walker down the lineup to potentially get the job done. And even Jacob Slavin, point or assist, something like that, because they're going to need their defensemen to jump into the rush. They're going to need their defensemen to help out. I truly believe it, because the Florida team will smother you in the neutral zone, and it's hard for them to make plays. So it's going to take everybody. It's going to take a community. It's going to take all the guys to get it done. But over 1.5 shots on goal, Jackson Blake is a prop that I have my eye on. Carm, we always talk about the goaltending props here, and talk about sometimes how taking the over saves could mean a goaltender is going to get peppered. If we take the under on saves, maybe you think they're going to play well defensively, or you think that the goalie's not going to make that many saves. The funny thing is, when you look at Anderson, who we already talked about so far, but he's hit under 23.5 saves in 7 straight games. So whether it's been him having success, the team, playing well defensively, or getting lit up, 7 straight games he's gone under this number. In this one, I wouldn't talk anybody off the over, because I still think that Florida's going to get their shots.
I think they are. In Game 7 against the Leafs, as part of my write-up in taking Florida, I talked about the fact that in Game 6, the Leafs held Florida to their lowest shot count of that series. I think it was like 22 shots. The 3 prior games, they had 30-plus shots on goal. I think 32 or more shots on goal. And in the first 2 games of the series, they had 28 and 29. The key to Florida was getting pucks on net, and they peppered the Leafs early on and all game long. The troubling thing here is that they only had 20 shots on goal in this game, and they scored 5. But I think, again, it comes back to, I think the Canes were a little shaky on defense in this one, and maybe weren't quite prepared for the game that Florida has. It's a physical game. It's a 200-foot game. And every line that comes out is a good line for this Florida team. They just have to match their energy and one-up it a little bit, and I think they can get the win tonight. You're going to have to lay the 125 or 130, which is always a scary thought when you're playing against the Stanley Cup champions, who seem to found their groove right now and are playing extremely well. The Canes are going to have to play some very good hockey, but we know they do that at home. There's so many different angles on this one, Andrew, that it makes it so tough. You have to sort of zero in on one and say, I think this is the way the game is going to go. You can't let the outside noise of 12 straight, now 13 straight losses in the Eastern Conference Finals for Carolina, because in 2009, none of these players were there in 2009.
Right.
In 2019, only a few of these players were around in 2019. That's why sometimes using historical data is one of the dumber things that you can do, because the players change, the players are different. This team probably resembles closer to the team that was swept, I think, in the 2022 season. They've added guys obviously like Orlov on defense that make them a little bit better. So we'll see what we get from the Canes tonight. I would love to see them win tonight's game, even this series up at 1, because the more hockey we get to see, the better we get to see. Andrew, I want to quickly mention that 3-team pizza parlay that I mentioned yesterday on yesterday's show. 2 of the 3 hit. I said that they were all plus money plays. So, look at even playing them single. The alternate points on Connor McDavid going over 2 points. That one hit. Obviously, the first period under, lost late with about 5 minutes left. But the one that I'm happy about is the one that I created a TikTok and Instagram video on it outside of Home Depot, is the Leon Draisaitl to get a goal at plus 120, plus 125. And who scores the first goal of the game? Leon Draisaitl. Maybe I should have taken first goal scorer at 10-1.
Great call. Great. I mean, you might as well. I've seen you hit them before, so you might as well keep taking those, Carm. Yeah, it was honestly, I read off so many trends, so many past history, so many guys that have success against the Oilers or the Stars. Wasn't a good night for my players, but next game, I will tell you guys already, I'll be running back the Zach Hyman props. So I'm going to go back to it. We'll see if it happens. But both Wyatt Johnston and Zach Hyman had a quiet night. But hats off to you, Carm. Good night with those. And that's why if you can get good prices on those, it's important to single bet those as well.
Carmine, Andrew, I got to mention, you mentioned that there's some books that allow you to take, because we talked about the third period over in the Edmonton games. And my thought was the Oilers play so well in the third period. They've scored a majority of their goals. They allow 5 goals in the third period. I get it, an empty netter in there. 5 goals in a game in which they played the perfect road game for 40 minutes, but a penalty towards the end of the second period becomes a power play goal in the third, and then another power play goal, and then another power play goal. The Dallas Stars, man, it is just, they are never out of a game. They're not out of a game. Like, what are your thoughts on the game? I think it's a lot closer than the final score, obviously, shows with that 6-3, but the Oilers got to stay out of the box. Normally we say that with teams facing the Oilers. You better stay out of the box against the Oilers. We're now seeing a game-winning goal in overtime for Dallas to make it, to knock off the Winnipeg Jets, and now 4 power play goals in this game, I think, for Minnesota. Or sorry, for Dallas.
Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm thinking Stars. The Minnesota's North Stars. You know what I mean? I'm the old guy here.
I, for some reason, always defend goaltenders, and I know that there's a lot of moments where you can't really justify defending Stuart Skinner. But, Carm, I don't really agree with that. One of the calls, the one where it was a bad angle where Sagan kind of lifted his head back, and he definitely sold the high sticking call. But at the end of the day, to start the third period, the Oilers give up 3 consecutive power plays and 3 consecutive power play goals. If Stuart Skinner might have looked a little bit tough on some of those goals, how can anybody explain the fact that they had a 3-1 lead going into the third and his team decided to absolutely sewer him with 3 straight penalties? Like, I get a real big kick out of social media saying, there's the Stuart Skinner that we all know. It's like, what do you mean there's the Stuart Skinner that we all know? He had a 3-1 lead for you guys going into the period, and you took 3 straight penalties. Like, to me, yeah, sure, Calvin Pickard looked good when he came in. You know, I loved when Calvin Pickard was playing. Stuart Skinner came in and had back-to-back shutouts, Carm, in the last 2 games in the series against Vegas. He had a 3-1 lead for the guys going into the third period, and all of a sudden, it's Stuart Skinner is back again, all these tweets. It drives me nuts because you know what? They gave up 3 power play goals. Sure, could he have had one of those back? Could his positioning have been better? Could his spot in the crease been better? Sure. But at the end of the day, you can't start a period off with 3 straight power plays against you and expect to blame the goaltender on that. It's unacceptable. And I'll tell you what, I thought the team looked very panicked. When the team went down 4-3, I thought they looked panicked. I thought that McDavid was trying to do it all on his own. These guys were playing like they were down 5 goals with 2 minutes to go in Game 7 of the Cup Finals. These guys were not acting like it was Game 1. They weren't acting like there were 9 minutes to go in the game. They looked panicked. And so, in my opinion, the blame on Stuart Skinner is absolutely absurd. So I was not a fan of it, and I thought the Oilers blew the game. It wasn't Skinner that blew the game. And Willow says that's what the Oiler fans say about Skinner. It's ironic. Yeah, it's true. They never believe in him. He has 2 shutouts, and then Carmen, then they don't really say much. And then they wait for the next game where they lose, and then all of a sudden they say things against him again. So I don't know what to say. I'm curious your thoughts about it, but I got to say really quick, I'm pumped about the live chat right now. A lot of great names, great guys in here. Willow, Markinson, Dane, Titan CT joining us late. Always welcome here, man. Josh, Ethan, shout out to Ethan. My brother says it's like leaving a tip at a restaurant. Hit the like button on this one. He's with me on the under on this one as well. So a lot of great guys here, Carmine, in the live chat with us today.
Yeah, absolutely. We love you guys on this YouTube channel. You Pucksters are loyal and here each and every day, whether you're watching it live or you watch it later on. You guys drop a ton of comments. We really appreciate it. I will have a contest up tomorrow. It is easier because I can do a contest that runs for like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the 3 games, and give away some more PuckTime swag, which I'm picking up tomorrow as well too, to get the previous winners out. If you guys are watching on the other social media channels, whether it's Instagram or the X, hit the heart button on there and also drop a comment if you have one. We try and answer as many questions as possible, and we'll try and do that tomorrow as well. Andrew, they're always going to look for someone to blame. Every sport is like that. It is like that. You key in on one guy, and it's usually the one guy you hear the most, whether it's the Toronto Maple Leafs and it's Austin Matthews or Mitch Marner. You don't hear about the third and fourth line guys who did absolutely nothing because they're not getting paid $13 or $14 million a game. Stuart Skinner, if the team in front of him doesn't play well, he's going to get blamed. Can you fault him on the breakaway goal for Tyler Seguin? And then Tyler Seguin and a puck that's going wide, and Skinner's got the goal covered and the shot covered. It goes completely wide, but he somehow bats it out of the air and into the net. And it wasn't a high stick. It was below the bar. You can't fault the goalie on those ones. And what happens is it snowballs from there, and it's the team in front of you that needs to play better hockey so it doesn't snowball in front of you, and they didn't. The most important shift you can have is the one right after you allow a goal so you don't allow another one. And the Dallas Stars are very good at punishing you by scoring another quick one. They've done it in the playoffs. They did it to the Winnipeg Jets, and they're doing it to the Edmonton Oilers. So kudos to them on that. Guys, before we wrap it up here, it's going to be a huge weekend for me across all sports, but mainly it is the last weekend of European soccer. A lot of games on Saturday. The important ones are on Sunday. I have a 5% play up in the Premier League. Cash the last one, 9-3-1 in 2025 with 5% soccer plays. And you can use the code CARM10. CARM10 will get you $10 off of Sunday's 5% soccer play. I'm so looking forward to it. It is going to be a monster weekend. I'm hoping for monster good results, Andrew, as well too. And after cashing the Edmonton Oilers last night for clients and the Leon Draisaitl anytime goal, I'm hoping to cash my 3 plays on tonight's NHL card, which you can also get over at WagerTalk.
I love it. I love it, Carm. And I like tailing your soccer. And the best part is I know nothing about soccer. So it's like, it makes me feel like I'm just a casual sitting back. I like take a look at your plays, read the write-ups, and I lock them in. So guys, make sure you join Carmine on his soccer plays, especially those big ones. He's been very consistent. 4% and 5% plays have gone very, very well for Carmine over the past, not just season, several seasons here. And for myself, look, guys, I know it's a hockey show, but as of right now, look, baseball's going pretty well for me. We're managing the bankroll properly. We're top 6 at WagerTalk out of a ton of handicappers. You guys can check out my daily plays, or you can join me for a 7-day MLB pass. Get all the plays I release, and we got a big play going today in the majors. So looking forward to that. Hoping to cash this team total play, and also hoping to make some money in NHL action. You can find my plays and Carmine's plays, WagerTalk.com. Guys, we hope you smash that like button on this video. Subscribe to our channel. We really do appreciate it. We'll see you next time right here on PuckTime.